Definitely. And if anything, like I said, an ETO goes up, you'll definitely be one of the few civil servants to have their profile in control from the beginning, from the get go. Uh,
Um,
Here's a quick question just on your profile. What would you want your profile name to be? Because most people, I give them a chance to kind of state their claim, before you get out there. So if you had to pick an adjective, a noun, a verb, an adjective,
oh
what would you
man,
want your Mine's is gonna be superhero, which I feel is just very cliche, but hey,
yeah.
it's my
Bruh.
fucking app. So pork chops is I think pork chops is I think
Mhm.
I'll put it up there. It's gonna show, but it's like I think he said Chief Justice of something, and I think Nick's is something to do with the Seminoles' favorite officer or something, favorite officer for the Seminoles or something. What would you
Oh
want yours to
man,
be?
I don't know. That's a hard one,
I
man.
put you on the spot. I'm gonna put for the meantime, headbutt.
Headbutt.
Regardless of time schedule, this is going to be a great little interaction for us because, as you know, we've had a lot of issues going on in recent news. We've had two servicemen go out and commit some heinous acts on behalf of their beliefs. Uh, a lot of it is very unclear. A lot of people want to jump to conspiracies, but we can go with the facts and what we know right now. And what we know is that the Dallas sniper, a lot of them say he worked alone, but as a serviceman yourself, you've seen these people in action. Do you feel that that's something that one trained serviceman could do? Take down 11 officers and take down 5 indefinitely? Do you feel that's something that you guys are capable of doing?
uh, I obviously it depends on the person, you know. Like I don't know how good of a marksman he was, or how good he was like with that weapon. But I don't think too many civilian cops are really prepared, or really are really thinking about getting ambushed by somebody with an assault rifle, you know.
Yeah.
So it maybe it is possible he could have hit 11 officers for the simple fact that as soon as he started shooting, they could have been scrambling. You know, like we don't know. Like I don't know those officers' experience themselves. They
Yeah.
might not have had any military experience. I think one of them was a veteran.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think it's possible. But I just think it was kind of weird how they said that there was two other people that they say that they saw him throw something in the car, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden they
There
let
was
him
a little
go.
confusion about that. There was
Yeah,
one report coming straight out of CNN saying that one of the shooters had committed suicide, and
yeah,
one was in custody. Uh,
exactly,
and we never heard the backup stories on those. There was no retraction or recant of those statements. That was brought to
exactly.
my knowledge.
Yeah.
The Baton Rouge one happened fairly recently, within this week, I believe, and I really haven't been able to keep up with that, seeing as just my day to day activities. But I know the instances that this guy has a YouTube page where he was actually at the event in
Yeah.
Dallas.
Yes.
But he had said that that was part of the, and there's been a lot of false reporting on this guy because they want to paint this image about these certain these certain situations, especially that is coming from a black community, when
Mhm.
ostensibly in the American history as we know it, lone rangers and lone gunmen have been traditionally white males. So this is a new epidemic, and a lot of people believe that these new warriors of chaos are stemming from a constant backlash that the black community has been suffering in. And this Baton Rouge situation, altercation, happened in a mini park, and it's almost believed that he was more interested in defending his right because, as we know, Louisiana is an open carry state. This
Yeah.
man called the police on himself, they believe, and they approached him in a hostile manner, even though he hadn't been convicted of anything or even had reasonable doubt to believe he was committing a crime. He was walking around with a AR-15, I believe, on his back and two
Yeah.
pistols. Uh, you almost want to say you didn't think that this would happen? Like, how do you feel about that situation? That if this guy was out here just minding his own business and officers approached him, at that point, stand your ground law comes into place, but they're not even acknowledging that rule with this guy. Is that fair in this situation?
Oh, definitely not fair. If you have your concealed carry license, it shouldn't depend on your color at all. It doesn't depend. It shouldn't matter about your environment or anything. You need to ask him about for his documentation. If he's getting calls from other citizens that for whatever reason he's disturbing the peace, or maybe he's just someone who saw him and was scared. But yeah, it's definitely wrong. Like, I live in Arizona, and it's a concealed carry state. You can walk around with a concealed weapon almost anywhere in Arizona, and I still don't carry mine for that simple fact. And I know a lot of black men in Arizona feel the same way. Like, we don't walk around with our weapons for that simple fact that if something did happen, it was just a cop would see me with a gun and just see me as a hostile person.
But I mean, you're a veteran. I mean, you serviced this country from 2006 to 2010. You don't feel? You mean to tell me, even as a veteran, you feel that there's still some level of animosity or something that makes you feel uncomfortable walking around the country you defended?
Well, yeah, because before I'm a veteran or anything, I'm black, and of course, I'm not speaking about all officers, because I've met a lot of good officers.
Definitely.
And I know I honestly believe that there are more good officers than bad officers.
Definitely.
But I just feel like it's not like he's gonna pull up and then ask me if I'm a veteran or something like that. I just feel like some of these corrupt cops, these scared cops, the one that just see a black man and just think they need to just empty their magazine, they're going to just see me as a black man. They're not going to think that, okay, maybe he's a veteran or whatever. They're just going to see me as a black man and see me as a threat.
Do you feel that with all these altercations and all these things that are going on, that ETO, you've been a big time supporter of ETO. I mean, you were one of the first people to donate to it. You carried the idea, and you've even tried to carry the idea down to necessary parties in your area, Phoenix, Arizona. You've been one of my supporters from the beginning, and you know a lot more about it than most people would. Do you feel like this would be a prime time to get ETO? Would you feel officers would be as quick to jump to the gun if they knew people could readily identify them?
Oh, definitely not, because then it'll be back in the back of their mind that this interaction is going to be recorded, pretty much. Hopefully, whatever police officer you're dealing with their department has a body cams already, but it's definitely going to be in the back of their mind, knowing that your interaction with them is going to be recorded, and then everybody who's on ETO is going to be able to see it,
Exactly.
Whether something happens or not, whether it's a good interaction or a bad interaction, everybody's going to see this guy for what he is, straight from the people who have to deal with him on a daily basis.
Yeah, and I mean, we are in an ideal world, we would want to catch more good than bad, but we have to be very practical. And ETO plans to use that practicality to this utmost to help both sides of the party. And one of the reasons why it's so difficult to kind of put your faith in these officers, or certain officers, I should say, is that we get excuses about how Alton Sterling was shot down, and they said their body cams weren't working, but because they went down in the struggle. When we then replay the video, we clearly see two officers don't have their body cameras on.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a code, a blue code that goes into that system. Recently I just saw a video, I think it was in Michigan or somewhere, where an officer was arresting a firefighter, EMS, while he was trying to assist someone who was just in a 4-car accident, because he parked his car at an angle which he deemed dangerous to the public. To which I then said, what about the guy with the broken neck?
And that's a procedure, though. Even in Arizona, we're taught that if you have a motor vehicle accident on the road, you're supposed to park your fire truck at an angle where that if a car does drive into your scene, it's going to hit the fire truck and not you. You want to pretty much put it as a blockade, you know.
Yeah,
So they were doing what they were supposed to be doing.
yeah, definitely. And I mean, I completely agree with it. Me coming from a healthcare standpoint, I'm trying to get into medical school and become a doctor. My main concern is the rule is I can't help you if I can't help myself. So I have to make sure I'm first safe in order to get into your safety. So in that with that mindset, I mean, I feel like it's almost blasphemy. How is an officer able to arrest an emergency personnel in the middle of an accident? Like, that is almost a sign of disrespect and also disregard for human life, because this is the chief of their fire department being arrested, I believe, and it was just mind-boggling. Do you feel that the power that the police are allotted is a little bit too much?
Oh, definitely. I definitely believe they have too much power, and I feel like even with the investigations with these shootings, I don't know. Maybe I might be wrong, but I feel like they have police officers look into these investigations. You know, like they have police investigating other police.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So like especially with this instance, like a cop, or especially a cop arresting a fire chief of all people, and say in the middle of the street for doing what they're supposed to do. If things run how they're supposed to be run, that cop should be charged with negligence on top of many other things.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's talk a little bit more about that whole oversight, because one of the things ETO wants to try and establish is getting police oversight.
Yeah,
I think it would be ridiculous if I walked into court and the judge said, "All right, Hero, you've been charged with this crime. Your family's going to dictate what happens to you. Your father, your brother, your sister, and your girlfriend of 20 years, they're all going to sit here." Oh, and she's 9 months pregnant, by the way. They're all going to sit there, and they're going to the baby just came out. Now all 6, 7 of them, or 8 of them, are going to sit there and judge you. I find it very hard to have a non-biased structure like that. So I've always been a person to not only have police oversight, firefighter oversight, EMS oversight, city council oversight, because once again, the government is designed to serve its people, protect its people. Yeah. So why is it that we're not allowed to be part of these intricate systems that kind of dictate it? One of the things I have on ETO right now is I have every officer in Illinois' profile ready to go. That's 7,000 plus profiles, and some of these guys have complaints that are so horrific. It amazes me that no one has ever said anything to them. We have people, working in our schools that have pending sexual assault cases, people who have domestic dispute cases working the streets of Chicago undercover, so these people can go up and harass you and you don't even know they're an officer.
That's wild.
It's almost nerve-wracking. It's like they're asking for the worst case scenario, but you can only push someone so far before you run into situations that we're running into now. And I was reading a post by his name escapes me. He's gonna come back to me, but basically he was saying, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's foolish to try and fight the police." You're right. It'd be foolish to try and fight them head on. But the way he sees it now, 2 dead black servicemen and 11, or how many was it? 5, 8, 8 dead officers. So that's 2 to 8 ratio. He said at that rate, I don't think they're going to win. And it really struck a nerve with a lot of people, and it was because it kind of sounds like he's condoning the violence, which is something that we're not about, because to be honest, we can't have it. There's no reason why this should be an issue right now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of ridiculous. It's like, how did we get here? What makes you think? How do you feel we got here?
I just think that the whole system needs to be revamped. I think how we do things now is just old system. It's just an old system, old racist system. If you want to be honest, Yeah. The police system was really used against minorities a lot.
Yeah, it was originally used to get. And first, they were called slave herders. People escape. They try and catch them and hunt them down. Then it
Exactly.
became, tamers. They trained them and got them ready. Then all of a sudden it became, okay, the South is reforming and we're trying to do this. All right, we have enforcers who protect the white people's land and keep black people off of it. Then it migrated to, okay, we have a justice system. Let's use these same people from the clans, in the sense, to rule over our areas.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. The whole system just needs to be redone. From the where how they get trained to how they get recruited to how they do their testing. Everything just needs to be redone.
do you feel the recruiting process needs to be a little bit more extensive? I know you guys
Oh,
went through a pretty extensive process as far as
yeah.
mental capacity, physical capacity, and also just your decision making skills. These officers, a lot of them aren't drug tested, and if they are, their drug tests are much more lenient. They're more based on hard drugs. So
Yeah.
there's several officers who will test positive for PEDs and steroids.
Yeah.
You know, it goes on work. They don't worry about it, even though it's been statistically proven that people who take these enhancing drugs do exhibit some force of aggression. This is the reason why everyone says football was better in the 60s and 50s, because yeah, these guys were roided out of their minds.
Yeah.
Clothesline.
Going straight for the head.
So, like, do you feel like officers should be drug tested more extensively? Do you feel they should be able to pass a psychology test? Do you feel every officer should have a college degree in some form?
I don't think that a college degree really dictates who can be a good cop and who can be a bad cop. But I definitely think that the psychological testing definitely needs to be more. It needs to be reformed and made more extensive. Like, I don't know anything about psychology, but obviously something isn't working. But I just think that it's just a little bit too easy. I know, like, it is a process now getting with a fire department or a police department, but it needs to be made harder to do, especially now. Especially we have a lot of vets coming, and I love to see vets getting jobs, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I just think that a lot of these cops get jobs basically because of their military backgrounds. Like, you got a Marine infantry guy or Army Ranger or whatever,
Yeah.
or Air Force guy, security forces, which is what I did, was a military police for the Air Force, and they just look at that and say, okay, he deployed, he did that, he got an honorable discharge, so obviously he's a good cop, or he's got that discipline, which is good, but the rules of engagement are completely different when you're in the military, and then when you're in a civilian world,
So,
I just feel.
is it fair to say that you don't feel like one of our servicemen overseas? Big shout out to my big little brother Darnell Cochran. He's definitely been out there supporting me from day one. It means a lot to see someone from back in the day. I mean, from my earliest times in America, coming back to support me and show their merit for what I'm trying to do, and that they actually believe in. It means a lot, and I mean, it goes to show you that even if you can't donate a dime to ETO, there's still 101 ways to support. Darnell Cochran is going to be an important asset to our community and our ability to rebuild that bridge between civil servants and civilians in the near future. And I want to send a shout out to his family, him, and his whole community and host of friends who are out there supporting him and making it. He's done for our country what none of us would have been readily been able to do while he was serving overseas. We thank you for that, and just want to put it out there that despite the efforts of these two past veteran murderers of officers, there are good veteran men out there. They are black, they are white, they are brown, they are yellow, they are blue, but more importantly, they are America and what we stand for. It's time to reinvent our image and start working towards a better tomorrow. It's ridiculous that in 2016 we're not cadaverling over how to save the world, but trying to save ourselves in the most simplest form. If I have any advice to give out to you guys today, it's going to probably be something that my dad told me last weekend.
Oh no, I think servicemen probably make the best police officers, if you want to ask me, because they've been through basic training. They've been through years of having of following a certain code when it comes down to dressing, how you act, how you walk, everything.
Okay.
But I just like, but the psychological things, especially right now with the war, you have some guys who might have PTSD, who are getting on with these police departments, or you might have a guy who might be a violent person, and maybe he never got really in trouble, got in trouble from his supervisors or whoever in the military, but he was in a combat career field, so maybe he took that anger out in a different way.
Mm.
Now, I'm not saying that's always the case. I believe that that's a very small percentage of them. I don't believe that there's too many service members who join a civilian police force with the intentions of hurting people. But I just think that sometimes, saying you change when you join the military.
Yeah, definitely, and that goes with like anything in life. I mean,
Yeah,
every aspect of life that you go through, whether it's strenuous, positive, negative, it alters you. And I feel like the reason why a lot of officers are resilient to this change is because one, they're invincible. Like
yeah,
a lot of people are talking about the speech from Donald Trump's wife, when no one seems to be paying attention to the fact that Freddie Gray, of the 6 officers that were convicted of or being accused of a crime, 4 of them have been let off, including the highest ranked officer, who would have been easily the easiest person to target on grounds of there's not enough conclusive evidence that he was malicious in his intent. I mean, how malicious do you have to be to, handcuff somebody, set them in the back of a van, and not properly secure them?
yeah. That way, and them getting off for that is ridiculous. Because at least I know, like with the fire department and with EMS, if you were to transport a patient and you didn't strap him down correctly, you're 100% liable for what happens to that patient.
Which is what the city is not denying, liable in a civil sense, but you have to prove malice intent, like purposely.
Okay.
That's why Freddie Gray's family has been awarded $6.4 million and have been told to shut the hell up, which they are doing. Now, I'm not saying that Freddie Gray's life was worth $6.4 million, but I am saying his family probably thought it was, and that's why we haven't heard much about this case anymore. Because the last 2 people I feel have yet to be charged are the 2 black males, 1 black male and 1 black female.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I don't see them getting punished for this. But if you had to punish someone, I'd take anyone at this point, and it sucks that it's probably going to be them. But you have to be held accountable. Someone has to be held accountable, and that kind of brings me to believe that $6.4 million, that doesn't come out of someone's pension. That comes
out of taxpayer money.
That's me paying. That's me paying for Freddie Gray.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, like, why isn't penalties, like, I'm just saying, you divide people's pension up into 10 circuits. If you get a major offense that requires the city to pay over $1 million, we take 1/10 of your pension. Would that be too much? What would make you feel like? I feel like they need to be held accountable in some form or fashion, because some of these officers get fired and still get to keep their pension.
Yeah, I think it should be more than that, though. I believe it should be more than 10%, because look, they took someone's life in this instance,
And I mean, situations happen where, for example, Michael Brown, the autopsy shows that one autopsy shows that he was running away and was shot. The other one shows that he was rushing him and then tried to run away and then was shot.
Yeah.
So it could go either way. But in instances like that, you don't want to say, okay, we don't know, so we're going to take everything. So you give them a scale. And I feel like no one is perfect. But after getting into trouble 5 times, that's 50% of your pension now gone.
Oh, I hear that. Okay.
And at that point, it's like you might want to look into another career, because at this rate, you probably won't have much to retire on.
Mm-hmm.
And at this rate, we're going to keep getting flack from the higher ups to get rid of you. And that's just a way of consolidating the issue, which is we need to have some way of keeping these people accountable, because they get off. They don't get charged. They don't get imprisonment.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see the only form of punishment they're receiving is being ambushed. I don't feel like that's an adequate form of punishment, especially when you're killing people and not even directly involved with the situation.
Yeah.
There's too many good officers out there for you to just be ambushing random people. My
Yeah.
last video I put up, I haven't put up the video of the the not altercation, but what's the peaceful way of saying altercation? The
Uh,
the conversation I had basically with this officer who pulled me over for speeding and driving in the left lane. And at that point I was thinking to myself, okay, even if he did give me a ticket and if I showed up to court, the judge would throw it out because it's not even 11 miles over the speed limit. It's like
yeah.
8 miles over the speed limit, and driving in the left lane without an emergency vehicle in the area isn't grounds for a penalty.
Yeah.
It's suggested, it's not grounds. That's like
Yeah.
paying for listen, people, stop paying for red light tickets, okay? If they send you a letter in the mail and it says pay this ticket because you ran a red light, you don't pay it. You say, can you prove that's me in the car? If they can prove it, then you want to address your accuser, and your accuser is a camera on top of a light post. It can't come to court, so it can't defend itself. So stop paying those damn tickets. I had a friend just pay a $500 ticket for running a red light, and he didn't even run it. He just went over and he stopped. He just went over. He just stopped and was like, "Oh shit, I'm in the middle of the road, so I'm just gonna make this right." And he was trying to go left, so I was like, "No, don't pay it." And he kept getting letters, and I was like, "There's anything in there say that you're gonna get arrested or a warrant?" He's like, "No." You wanna know why? Because they can't do it. It's some company making money off of you and paying the police a cut by using stern words like law enforcement personnel will take a closer look into your records from now on. That is not ground. That is stop it. Damn it, I hate that shit. But just on a live note, I want to talk more about your political views.
Okay.
We gonna go. I don't know who you represent. I don't know what you like to call anything special as far as the candidates running now. But let's just talk real quick about our first black president. He's coming to a close right now. Can you just tell me what you think about him in his 8 years of service? What do you think he has accomplished, and do you think he was a good president?
Well, I don't think it really has to be said, but I think the first thing he accomplished is the race barrier. I don't think, if you ask someone 100 years ago, even 50 years ago, if they would have ever thought that a man who's even half black would get into the White House, they would never believe you.
Yeah.
And so he definitely did something big for not just black people, but just all races. Showing that you can get to that point. As a president, I think that he, maybe because he's a man of color, I think that he was better suited to deal with people like foreign people, in the Middle East and stuff like that, because I just feel like the past presidents we've always had that approach, like work with us or you're against us, and if you're against us, then we're probably going to put sanctions on you and probably go to war with you for some reason,
Yeah.
I just feel like a lot of people called it an apology tour, because pretty much he was going around and talking to all these different Muslim countries and talking to them about stuff that Bush has done and how he's not going to go down that route. But I think he's definitely done as much as he could do with the amount of opposition that he had.
Yeah.
Because he always had forces playing against him.
Yeah.
It seemed like no one wanted him to succeed, and I don't see how that's not treason in itself. Yeah. I don't see how you can not want the president of your country to be successful. You want him to fail. How is that not treason by trying to sabotage his plans I'm
thinking of a few of the statements. There was a few congressmen. There's one that comes around recently. It was in my last video. He said, "We're coming after you, Obama." I was like, "How is he not in a jail?"
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's crazy. That's wild. And we don't have to talk about all the disrespectful things that have been said about him as a black man.
Yeah.
So I think what he's had, he's done what he could. But I'm one of the people who knows that presidents don't have ultimate power.
Yeah.
I think that they're more like a spokesman slash puppet slash mediator,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. No, that's a very
So
real, that's a very real idea. You get power when your party and your political and your Congress basically is backing you, and you get
exactly.
that from paying Congress. We found that out. We didn't. You won't find that out in no government class in high school.
Yeah,
You'll find that out in the real world. That
yeah,
you want to rule you're the strongest country in the world. You want to rule something else, you're gonna have to pay Congress, and
yeah,
that's what we learned. And from his efforts, I feel like he's done a great job. I feel like he could have done more, but that's just with anything in life. You asked me, could I
yeah.
have eaten that last donut? Yeah, I could have eaten more. That's just with
Hmm.
life. But he's done a valiant. He's definitely made a valiant effort. So from that, you see where we are now today. And
Yeah,
given that the two people that will be running for president, I will never forget this moment in time where we had a chance to go a different route, but now we have two different tier levels of like hell. Like, do you want to be in the bowl or do you want to be in the fire? So between the two candidates we have left, what are your thoughts on? First, let's go with Donald Trump. I mean,
Man, that guy.
that I mean, I you know,
man.
it's this is like I've only been I think I've been alive for like probably what 4 or 5
Mhm.
presidential candidates.
Yeah,
I've never heard of one being this controversial. And they say like there was way worse. There was like Reagan and all of them were way worse.
yeah,
But to be so blatant, but that's in a different era.
yeah,
But to be so blatant,
yeah.
like
To be so blatant now, like I remember I saw this one thing on TV where he made a tweet. And this is the thing that kills me about him. He's a president of the United States, but he's constantly putting out all these tweets all the time. And he pretty much put out a tweet and this messed up statistic about black men and violence. And I don't know exactly what it was. I may be wrong. You can
no,
look up
you're
if you
right.
want
I
to.
know exactly which one you want. In fact,
He said that, yeah, he said that black men are responsible for like what 75% of crime in the U.S. or
yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
And Bill O'Reilly corrected him on that and said that that was a bogus claim and that he shouldn't be putting stuff like that on Twitter. Bill O'Reilly of all people
yeah.
is even correcting this guy
And
and
Bill,
saying that this guy's out of his mind.
yeah, it's to say that he's, I already told all my friends, hey, I got a 22 bedroom, 14 bathroom house in Africa. Like, we can go back. We
Hey,
can go back. 'Cause,
damn.
it's just to think about how he is so impressionable to say, we're gonna build a wall between us and Mexico and make them pay for it. Like, what you would think that no one would even remotely think about voting for this guy, but he has the power of the whole
And that's
GOP.
yeah,
What does
yeah.
that say about Republicans?
What does that say about America? Because there's like, look, for him to get this far in all these years, that to people, not even just racist white people, just white people who choose who don't live among racism, who don't really see it and choose not to believe it. It just shows like how they really feel. Like, how does this guy who's blatantly racist make it all the way to the Republican candidate?
Who's more to blame for his rise of power, the people or the GOP?
Both. Because people had to vote for him. People had to go to his rallies. People had to keep on keeping him all over the media,
And
Because I guarantee you, if Barack was saying half these things, there's no way he would have made this if he was saying these things about Mexicans and white people.
they would have got Obama in the alley, man. They would have got
Exactly.
So do you feel that? So I mean, I majority blame the media. When Trump, Hillary, and Bernie were running simultaneously, Trump received over 50% of news coverage. Hillary coming in at 30%, and Bernie barely scratching 14%, while the other candidates took up for the 3%. So do you feel like the media has something to do? Because I mean,
Yeah.
whether you want to believe it or not, you throw somebody's name out there 50% of the time, it's going to cause a buzz. Do you feel like, even like, let's not even look at him as a person. Let's just look at like some of his policies.
Yeah.
I'm Muslim.
Yeah,
You've known this. You've known that about me. And
yeah,
this is like him saying things of the nature like, let's ban all Muslims. Like, imagine us being in high school and someone knocking on the door saying, "Hey, we got to take Hero out of here." How would you
exactly.
feel about a situation like that?
I'd be beyond pissed, and I feel like any person who calls himself an American should be pissed about that statement right there, because that's completely against everything that this country's supposed to stand for.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of good Muslims. I served with some. Saying you're Muslim. I know you, and some of the best people I've ever met have been Muslim. So I don't. That's crazy, and for him to still get votes, that's what I'm saying. All these people who try to act like black people are being so dramatic when we talk about racism and prejudice, and then you see this guy who blatantly comes out and says he wants to ban a whole, not even just a race, it's a whole religion of people. Like, that's the largest religion in the world, and you're gonna pretty much tell them y'all can't come here because a few people who claim that they're Muslims don't know how to act,
Mm.
and they always want to clump the whole religion in with a couple bad people.
Yeah. Just
Especially with religion too. Like, every religion has had a radical group. Like, Christians had the KKK, and you got the Nazis. They all claim to be doing it for God, but for some reason, when it comes to Muslims, if one guy who claims ISIS or whatever he claims kills somebody, they automatically blame all Muslims for it and say that, and pretty much try to get people to believe through the media that they're teaching y'all through this through birth, from birth.
hmm
So yeah, it's just frustrating, man.
it is frustrating, and I mean that's partially why I don't have cable. Like,
Yeah,
it sucks because I think about every year for about 18-20 weeks I have to rearrange my TV so I can watch football, and then immediately turn off the TV because it's kind of mind-boggling to see how the news just portrays Muslims and the
yeah,
people they put on Fox News and all these channels. But that's Donald Trump, and that's all we can really do. Like,
yeah,
if you're a Republican and you can still say you're a Republican, I kind of look at you differently. But
yeah,
like I said, I don't know, because the man hasn't had he hasn't touched anything that he hasn't destroyed between his
yeah.
he was said he had they charged him, they convicted him for his involvement with the whole Trump pyramid scheme as far as taking people to school and stuff like that. And he called the judge. He said the judge is being racist because he's Mexican.
Yeah, I saw that.
And he just doesn't know. He has no idea. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder, is he purposely trying to ruin his campaign? But then he gets more votes. So I don't know. Maybe he's a dumb genius. I don't know, but.
Yeah, he's
And
definitely using the media in this.
because he's financially ready to help America. I asked those people, do you know how much debt Obama has removed from our deficit?
Of
No,
course they don't.
it was $1 trillion. Oh, really?
Yeah.
I would have to see research on that. Well, do you know how many times Donald Trump has been bankrupt? No. Well, it's been 4.
Yeah.
And people so it forced him to say, you don't know his politics, you don't know his policies. You like him because he's able to do something you're not, which is be racist openly.
That's exactly how I feel.
But
He's able to say things that all these people apparently are feeling, and they're like, "Hey, he can say what I can't say without fear of me losing my job or whatever." So they just vote for him.
yeah, I mean, what happened to those days? I remember when if you said something messed up on Facebook and they found you, you get that call in the paddle back, like, "Hey, John, can I have a word with you? It's been a pleasure, but we got some stuff from your social media, and we're just He be carrying that file box, and he get his one award that he won 2 years ago. He's shedding tears, like, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I have a job. Yeah, bro, you gotta get that. You gotta get out. But now it's like, oh, you get a pat on the hand and don't do it again.
And it's crazy though, because it seems like people get more mad about a basketball team owner saying racist stuff than a person who's trying to run for president.
Yeah, and I mean, that's another big thing. Up until recently, we haven't had much support from our athletes and superstars.
Mm-hmm.
NFL teams You know, this happened, I believe, in Wisconsin. A female WNBA team wore shirts to not only protest police brutality, but show their condolence for the officers shot down in Dallas. And the officers who were in charge of protecting not only those players, but all 7,000 fans in attendance. They walked out on them. Are these? I mean, this can't be the America our forefathers were envisioning. You know, they probably would have never thought black people would be free. But
I want to say our forefathers probably, they probably didn't envision us even being free right now.
But you know, to the standard that we're trying to live as the leader of the free, as the self-proclaimed leader of the free world, which I now think is Canada. Yeah. How are we okay to live with this? Because I mean, there's some fine girls in Toronto. Hey, Rachel, I'm talking to you, baby. I miss you. I miss you. But I mean, it's like, how do we live with ourselves? You know, there's a certain level of decency the world needs. You know, like when and we can use this to transition perfectly into, you know, Hillary's camp. Black Lives Matter. You know, as in 1994, you were caught saying some horrific things, and instead of you to, you know, woman up and say, yeah, okay, I said those things, you instead defer to Bernie Sanders and say, well, he signed the bill too. Yeah, but he said two different things than you. You said at one point black people needed to learn how to heal, and that black males were considered
super predators, something like that.
Yeah. And then when people come up to you talking about Black Lives Matter, you scorn them. Like and it baffles me, you know, like what is so appealing about Hillary? That, like, is it because
her husband?
But I'm even saying that Bill. What did Bill do that was so great for us?
Of course, we were both young when he was a president, but I don't know. Like I really don't know what's the love affair.
When I Google Bill Clinton, these are the top things that show up: him on train tracks, him playing a saxophone, Monica Lewinsky, cigar and Monica Lewinsky, his wife's ankles, and then it's just like, okay, he also increased employment by like 18 or 20%, something like that.
Okay.
But then at the end of his cycle, he basically implied the profit for prison system, which has been paying the Clinton family since he left office.
Wow.
That, you know, all these prisons are not owned by the state. They are owned by businessmen who then pay the state a differential, but they need people to do that. So you better make sure I have prisoners. How is it we're living in a world where the best interests of our people, even as criminals, are not being taken into consideration? We have people serving life sentences for owning drugs.
Yeah. You
know, but we got people, manslaughter. Well, he might have killed him on accident. No. You don't kill someone on accident. You know how you kill someone on accident? They jump from somewhere and you say, I'll catch you, and you don't catch them. But if you shoot somebody, you've intended to cause pain to that person. So, like, you know, it baffles me, but she comes in with a host of politics, and, you know, I feel like she got a lot more plug because, once again, she was 30% of Bernie, with Bernie clocking in about 14% or 17% of the pub. So he wasn't doing, you know, meetings with the NRA and saying, hey, I'll protect you and, you know, vote for me. Because I haven't heard from Reverend Jackson or any of those people. The Nation of Islam, haven't heard from them. Haven't heard from any, like, no NCAA, nobody ideally supporting the black community has stepped up, except for this rogue nation in the Black Lives Matter movement, which is oblivious to me because
that's kind of surprising too, especially when you talk about the Nation of Islam too.
Especially him, because he's professed hating these people for their actions, but he hasn't sent any of his army. You know,
Yep.
I haven't seen any amount of money going from him to him, and I don't know these things. They could be happening behind closed doors, but it hasn't been impactful enough to matter.
Exactly. And if he is helping, we do need to see that though. People need to see none of this behind the closed doors supporting. Like we don't need that. People need to see so more people can get out there.
Exactly.
Farrakhan, he had his Million Man March last year.
Yeah.
You know, but now that stuff is actually happening now, he needs to be out there. Him and all the FOI need to be out there right along with Black Lives Matter, helping them out.
Yeah, the new Black Panther Party. I mean, I've seen videos of them on Facebook, and for the life of me, I'm like, who's your leader? Where's your website? Where's your form of contact? Where's your community outreach? Like, black people are inherently resistant to change.
Yeah.
Because we become complacent. You know, I always tell people, you know, someone asked me the other day, when are you going back to Chicago when I have something new to talk about? The last time I was there, they said, oh, you played in the NFL. That's great. Next time you see me is because I'm a doctor.
Yeah.
We're inherently like comfortable just settling. You know, the 2 generations back, it was, I'm going to survive, and I'm going to survive with this government cheese.
Yeah.
The generation after, okay, I don't need to survive with government cheese, but I'm not going to be able to own anything. Now our generation, which is being hit with this opportunity of not only owning businesses, owning land, owning ideas, owning an identity, is now being met with this resistance. And a lot of people even claim like this is why they attack, because we're threatening in that notion that the more equal we become, the less that they'll have to take. Which I don't really think is an issue, but in the grand scheme of things, it is a problem. You know?
I agree.
So I try not to like allow that to form my ideas, but it'd be foolish of me to sit here and not say it's something significant.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes me to Hillary. I mean, if you had to vote for somebody, I mean, tomorrow, if you don't want to answer this, it's perfectly fine. But I'm going to give you 4 options. If you could re-elect Obama, send Bernie in Hillary's place, pick Hillary or Trump. And if you don't want to answer, I completely understand it. That's your own preference. But I'm going to definitely share what I feel if you don't want to.
Well, I'll be right up front. I voted for Bernie Sanders, so I definitely like him.
Okay.
I don't know. Like I would like to say I would like to see Obama run again, but I don't know. Like I know I said a lot of good things about him before, but it seems like he's not really doing much. I know he's the president of the United States. He's not the president of black people or nothing like that. But I feel like he hasn't done enough for black people, and I feel like some of the things he's done, like some of his foreign policies, have been kind of bad. You know.
Yeah.
Just the way that he deals with.
A lot of people are saying that he's kind of the disdain of black people because, ironically, during his term, 2 years of service, 8 years of service, he's accumulated the most civilian deaths by officers in our nation's history.
Yeah.
So it's kind of strange that that's happening in office. You would almost want to say like, I know you're the president of the United States, but come on, man. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
But I feel you from there. Bernie would have definitely been on my. I feel like if I'm forced to go to those posts, I'm writing Bernie's name in. I feel like a lot of people don't know that you can write Bernie's name in.
Well, that's what I'm planning on doing. I don't believe in voting for the lesser of two evils. I don't believe in that.
Yeah,
I'm not just going to vote for Hillary just because Donald Trump's on there.
Yeah, exactly, and that's I feel a lot of people are going to do. But
and that's what they're trying to push right now.
Yeah,
they're trying to push that. Oh, look, Bernie's endorsing her, so you guys go vote for her too. You know.
I'm not saying that I'm ashamed of Bernie's team for doing that. Because in Bernie's eyes, in Bernie's team's eyes, if the Democrats win, he still has a little bit of pull. he can still fight without worry of retaliation because his team won. But if the Republicans win, it's we'll sanction you, we'll do this to you, we'll take this from you. You know, so I see where his team is coming from, but from American standpoint, for people, it's really important that we, you know, unite and kind of aim and pick and choose our battles accordingly. You know, this is a lady who's going to be running for president who was charged with basically treason and espionage. Basically.
Yeah.
But we got homeboy Snowden out there chilling, saying, no, I'm not coming back because I know what y'all are going to do. And people saying, I'm not going to prosecute her, even though she put our government's, you know, safety at risk. I mean, our people at risk. So, you know, it's different, strange. But that's you know, you can go on and on this topic. It's just almost depressing. But
exactly.
Let's line up the mood and let's talk about your fondest memory of. Let's first start this. I'm interested to know this one. What is your best memory in wrestling?
My best memory in wrestling? Oh man. Okay. I think this will be the only time I could ever say that a loss was one of my best memories.
Ooh.
I remember it was my freshman or my sophomore year. I believe it was my sophomore year. And I think it was a kid from Rich South. It was one of those Rich schools, Rich Central, Rich South, Rich East. I don't remember which one.
One of those fucking.
But I was wrestling. Yeah. I was wrestling like 135 that year or something like that. And they had a guy who qualified for state. He got like 6th in state or something like that. And I went the distance with this dude.
I think I remember this match. Yeah, go ahead.
And I went the distance with this guy. Like I feel like if I had a little bit more experience with him, I probably could have beat him. Because he ended up pinning me, but at the very last 15-20 seconds of the match. Like I was dead tired. You know, I'm all nervous. I'm wrestling this guy who I thought was going to murder me. You know, I got my team cheering for me and all that. So yeah, but I definitely I could say that was like the turning point of me with wrestling, because up until high school I never wrestled. You know, and a lot of guys I know you know this because you went even farther than me with wrestling. You know, you wrestle a lot of guys who've been wrestling since they were little kids.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm wrestling this guy. It's my second year ever wrestling. It's my first year on varsity, and I go to distance with this guy who placed in state. So that changed my whole life when it came to wrestling. That's what gave me all my confidence and gave me the, you know what I'm saying, the confidence and the pride to know I could be as good as I wanted to be, you know?
So, and I always like, you know, to think you know, when I first started wrestling, I remember it was almost surreal because I didn't know anything. So, you know, when I first came in, you know, first thing Coach Cal was saying, Hero's just not tough. He's very timid. He's not because in my mind I was like, it's not natural to me. It's not natural for me to show emotions while I wrestle. That was one of the things you guys hated about me.
Yeah.
Never get riled up.
Yeah, you was so
just very stoked.
You was just very, we couldn't get you mad.
And I never understood, why would you have to be mad in order for you to wrestle? Is that do you charge up like a Super Saiyan or something?
I know, not everybody needs it, but I know me, I used to listen to 3-6 Mafia and think about people I didn't like before my matches. You know what I'm saying? So I use that anger, you know? But I don't know, it's not like we wanted you to get mad per se, we just wanted you to show it, you know, because you were a big dude. Show it, you know what I'm saying? Act like it, you know what I'm saying? We're not saying you got to walk like that all the time, but we can never get you into that mode, all right, I'm about to go onto the mat and destroy this dude.
And I blame my own fear of hurting somebody, which was always something I was always concerned about. But you know, I remember this is when I had my turbo. So I on the JV team.
Yeah,
I went 24-0. I never lost a JV match. So at that point, Coach Rogers was like, "We're gonna move Hero up to varsity," and it was you, Howard Blackman and Gerald Chu, and I remember he was telling you guys, and you were like, no, keep Allen or keep Tony or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But no, we're not having a freshman on the varsity team. Like,
Man.
and,
Yeah, I remember that.
and it was like, it was also partially because, you know, I was like very timid. Like, I was just like, I just went on the mat and just looked at people. Like, could you just lay down for me, please? Like,
I wish we had a video of how you used to look, man, when you first started wrestling, man.
Yeah. But it was like, I remember, so I went my first 10 matches in varsity and I lost all of them. And I mean, just no heart, no nothing. It's just, and I remember you coming up to me in practice, and you know, I'm thinking, okay, you know, we're gonna get ready to wrestle. And I'm like, what are you doing down here in Big Man Corner? And you're like, me and you are all day. And I was just like, I looked at Cal, and Cal was like, go ahead, have him, because Cal was teaching me techniques, which is important. But you know, at that point, you were pissed because you're saying to yourself, you're messing up our team scores, preventing us from winning these team games. And if you would just light a fire, and we wrestled and you worked the mat with me, that was the shiniest I ever saw the fucking mat in my life. You just wiped it, and we had a tournament, we had a match on Friday, so it was now Thursday. It's sort of like a light day, but we're still going a little strong, get a little sweat. And I mean, you've been whooping my butt since last Saturday. So I was at this point, I'm like, you know, I get in and I told Cal, hey, I don't want to wrestle with Darnell today. You know, we're going to wrestle, me and you can wrestle. And he was like, why don't you wrestle? He's like, he's been pushing me and I don't like the way he's pushing me. And he was like, so why don't you do something about it? And, you know, I was like, well, I don't want to, you know, he was like, I mean, what you going to do? What if he's the one you got to face on Saturday? And I was just like, hey, you know what? That's it. I'm not taking it anymore. And I must
that's the part I really remember.
And I got you into a bear hug. And as I was to take you down, I just remember Cal jumping to save you from impact. Like, and we crushed Cal. Like, you could hear him grunt.
Yeah.
Cultist came running over. It was like, good girl. What the hell you been doing? And, you know, it was just like, I was shaking. And I was like, and you just kind of looked at me and was like, there ain't no punk bitch in you no more, huh?
Yeah, man.
And I just remember you like waddling off, like Charnel was trying to help you off. And I was like, this is the power that they talk about. So from that point on, it was just like a button I could press. Like, you don't have to be angry, but there is a certain level of hype that you need. Because when you go to that mat, and I know you remember this feeling, it's like you're by yourself. You see your friends and family, but it's 3 people on that mat. One of them doesn't care, and the other one's trying to fuck you up. So, like, I know for sure, like, you know that feeling, but that was the most inspirational time I ever had, like, right then and there with you. And I just remember thinking to myself all the way back from there, like, yeah, he was the one that taught me how to turn that light switch off.
Yeah, that's the reason why I did it, man. Like, I don't remember you definitely remember that story better than I do, but I definitely remember that bear hug. and I remember that was the whole point of me doing that, like. Because one thing I could always do, like when I wrestle, especially with people I knew like Howard and Gerald, I would always try to agitate them, you know, just mess with them, you know. And that's what I try to do with you. I was like, man, this dude's probably going to kill me, but I'm just going to get this dude mad. And I told Howard that I was like, man, I'm going to wrestle this dude until he hates me. And I'm going to do whatever I can to get this dude mad, man.
You didn't like wearing your headgear in practice. And I did, and that was like automatically like, what are you, a fucking rookie? Take your headgear off, like you're not in a match. So you would headbutt me, and I'd just be like, and we just called you the Juggernaut for a reason, because bro, your neck was made out of steel. Like, bro, I felt like you could headbutt to the ground. Like, and just like in closing, we're going to talk a little bit about, you know, some of your efforts that you've been making. You know, I would like you to share with us, you know, how there was a protest recently in your area and how you felt it went, and you know, can you just give us a little bit of insight, because like as we're speaking now, seeing like the footage and the film from that you got for this interview, so can you just tell us what you felt about the movement, the people who were there, and what you thought those people represented?
Well, first off, I want to say, like, I want whoever sees this video, if you were at the March Against Police Brutality, um, it was good just to be out there, because we went down Mill Avenue, and Mill Avenue is pretty much right close to ASU, so there's like a lot of bars and restaurants there, and these people took time out of their Friday night to come there and pretty much make a statement, you know. So that was good that people came out. People came out, you know. People had signs made. You had Mexican, you had white, you had black. It was good, you know. The police were there, but they weren't there interfering with us. They weren't messing with us too much. The cameramen people were there. CBS, Telemundo, they were all there. So it was getting coverage. You know, we were getting our point across, making it known. Because especially this being Arizona, I'm pretty sure there's not a whole lot of civil rights protests going on in Arizona. It's not like Chicago or somewhere down south. So it's a statement in itself, you know.
Good.
About 400 to 500 people said that they were going to come on the Facebook page, but I'd say about 150 showed up. From what I know and from what I gathered, it was put together by just a couple people who are either students there, or they're just citizens here, you know. And they want to put a group together where there wasn't a certain organization in charge. Like, it wasn't strictly like a Black Lives Matter one or something like that. They just wanted something for the community to come together and show how they feel.
And can you tell me a little bit about the previous parties involved? That I know that there were other rallies, but you didn't find them to be adequate. Can you tell us about those people?
Oh yes. Well, there's a man by the name of Reverend Jared Maupin, who I heard about from my sister's friend, and she told me about how he's done things in the past, how he's pretty much left people who are following protests hang out to dry. Like, for example, 2 weeks ago, he had a protest in Phoenix, and he was going to lead people out onto the I-10. Granted, you at night on top of that. The police chief was telling him to don't do it, and then he said, well, we're going to keep on moving anyway. And to keep them from going up to the on-ramp, they pepper sprayed them and used tear gas. And there were multiple people who came to this rally, to this meeting anyway, and said that he was nowhere to be seen, that no one saw him anywhere. He just got ghost on his people. And this isn't the first time I heard people saying that about him. But when we started the actual meeting, he had no control. Like, people were talking over him. This woman, Kim, she came out and said all these things that she knows about him and how he wasn't around when someone she knew died. And you have more and more people coming out and speaking up about him.
So is this fair to say he's a false leader for the black community?
So under from what I learned from that meeting, because a lot of us came to that meeting thinking it was a Black Lives Matter affiliate meeting, but he has nothing to do with Black Lives Matter. That Black Lives Matter Arizona chapter has even came out and said that Reverend Maupin doesn't speak for them. So a lot of people in Arizona already dislike this guy. Within the past few years, I guess he's been exposed for some stuff about taking money from strip clubs, getting endorsements on strip clubs. I mean. And it seemed, he had a 12-point plan he wanted to do, and it seemed like, of course, we have to work with the police in this effort right now. But it seemed like he's just asking, please, can you please do this? Can you please do this? We would like it if you really did this. He calls them demands, but it seemed like it's more like, can you work with us on this? Can you meet us halfway, kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't want to follow him. So a lot of people who went to this protest, they went there because they're like, okay, I want to protest, but I'm not following him. And he had a protest during the same time as this one. So it was a majority white people. There was only one guy there who was protesting our protest. And I sent you a video of him. I don't know if you've watched it yet.
It's up right now.
Yeah, and he was there peacefully. Of course, he would yell out things here and there, but he never said anything insulting to us. He never said anything racist. He was just out there speaking his mind, saying how Trump's gonna make America great again and all that stuff. He has red hat, and people were there was a lot of people there who were giving him a hard time. It got towards the end. A lot of people were throwing water at him, throwing water bottles, and I was watching it. Me and my sister and her friend were watching it, and we noticed that it was a lot of the white supporters that were doing this. They were taking his hat and running down the street with it. They were throwing water bottles at him. They were calling him out of his name and all that. And it was just kind of disheartening because they had a lot of them had Black Lives Matters shirts on, Black Lives Matter signs.
So misrepresenting the product. But there's something really interesting about this situation because, these people are representing a movement and doing it in the worst possible way. So we want to just state that, we don't condone these actions.
Exactly.
This is not for the masses. You could be against what's going on, but that doesn't mean you should share in the movement. It just means you're not part of us, but it means you support what we're doing, and there's a difference. But there's something really interesting, and the video footage shows it, that you went and got this guy's hat from one of the people who took it from him.
Well, I didn't get it myself, but the guy who I was running with, he got the hat back.
Yeah.
But I helped find out where they took the hat, though.
Yeah, regardless, that's still it's a human thing to do.
Yeah, it's a human being, and he was there by himself. You know what I'm saying? So I can only imagine what's going through his mind. He's got like 80 people around him who his mind feels who are racist, because he did say he felt like Black Lives Matter is a racist organization. But he's there by himself. It's not like he had a whole bunch of guys with him who were trying to start a problem.
Again, this is the freest country in the world where your opinion is allowed to be your opinion. But I just want to state that, for all the bad raps that are being passed out there, whether it be via demographic, affiliation, service to the country, or just your own personal views, there are decent people out there, and you're one of them. And just want to state that, just thanks for sharing your thoughts with us and coming on and talking with us. I mean, we're gonna be trying to head towards wrapping this up because I know you've got a lot to do, and I just want to thank you from going back all the way to high school times, applying that ability for me to be tough, giving me that mentality that's never say die, because the truth is, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. No one's better.
Yep, that was our unofficial slogan right there, man.
Official slogan right there. And
shout out to Cultish.
I just want to say thank you for coming on with us. Once again, this is my good friend from back in the day, Darnell Cochran. He is a veteran of the Air Force and is now currently training to be part of the EMS Fire Fighter department down there in Phoenix. And they're gonna get one hell of a civil servant in him. He's a good man, good morals, and he's doing his best to do his part the right way for his people, not only for his people, his community, and for his fellow civil servant officers in service with him. I'll be linking all the video will be available in this, and just any last words you want to give out there, bro? Any thank you, shout outs, family, friends?
I want to say thank you to all the cops who do go out there and have the intentions of helping the community. I know you don't get as much media as you should get because you have a lot of bad eggs out there, and I know there's a lot of internal things that need to be changed in the departments. But to all those ones who are out there doing what they can do, I do appreciate you. I've learned a lot of good things from police officers, from ones that I've worked with in the Air Force, and while I've been working on becoming a firefighter. So I want to say thank you to them. And I just want to say lastly, I just want people to really look into what Black Lives Matter stands for. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of people who probably don't agree with it who will watch this video. And I've actually went to the Black Lives meetings myself. A lot of people judge them based off of what they see in the media, but there's no one standing at a podium saying that, oh, we're going to go kill cops and white people are trying to take us down. We're not preaching that. It's a couple bad apples, just like the police department has a couple bad apples. Don't let a few bad people throw away what Black Lives Matter is trying to do. Because like we said earlier, all these big religious groups who always talk about how they're going to be there for us, they're not doing anything. But Black Lives Matter is. So I just want everybody, and everybody has to put the pride to the side and just work on we have to start from scratch when it comes to the relationship with police officers and EMS and all that.
Definitely. And if anything, the real important question here is what happens when two forces like that meet? When two elephants collide and have battle, it's only the ground that suffers. It's time for us to come together as a people and stop suffering.